So today we're going to look at visualization using D3. And before any of the visualization, I got a data set. Actually, I have like three data sets. One was looking at employees. Why I looked at different data sets was because I wanted to create a variety of graphs, and I had to get the data sets for those graphs that I'm going to look at. So, but before any of that, I came up with questions that are going to guide the visualization. For example, what is the distribution of education levels among the population? Now, here I feel like the best thing to show that would be like a bar graph to show the different levels, the count, the different levels of education. Then I look at is there a correlation between age and income and age. So I think I'll be going through one by one. And then the gender composition and what variety of occupations the people hold. So this will look at the different occupations and the number of people that have those specific occupations. Then the organization structure. Here I prefer to look at a network diagram to show the hierarchy within the organization to show who supervises who, and then geographical locations. Yeah, then I used maps and the distribution of gender across the age groups. So for distribution of gender, I used both a bar graph and a pie chart. So we shall get into each of the things that we looked at. So starting, we shall go to Visual Studio. I used Studio for my code, and basically what I did was this beginning part. Basically, I think these beginning parts, are for HTML. There are HTML structure for our web page where you have the head, and then in the body, we shall have the rest of the code inside the body. So in the head, basically, we imported this link here is for the is for the D3. This is the D3 library, and this is the latest version I got, which is version 7. And then I loaded that in. Yeah. So we went into the body, and that is now when the rest of the D3 code is. So basically, we start by declaring constants for height and width for the chart, and then here we declare the container that is going to hold the first thing we're looking at, by the way, is a bar graph to look at the gender distribution in the population. So we declare the attributes. This will be used to declare the attributes for the container, which is going to have the the bar chart. So basically, we put the attribute for width and height. So we brought the other constant that the constants we declared, and we put them there. Then we added padding to accommodate the axis labels. Yeah. Then later on, we loaded the data here, where you see it's a JSON file. So that's why we say d3.json. Then we loaded the JSON file, and then we this will aggregate the gender. Like we'll do the calculating for gender. We'll do a count for gender, count how many people per gender. Then here the this the count here is converted into an array to hold the label, which will be male or female, and the count, which will be the number of people in that gender. Then next, here, yeah, we're done with that. Then here we look at we here we are declaring the color scale that we're going to use for the bar charts so that each gender is given a specific color. Then we define, yeah, we define the x and y axis, and then this down our now is a range zero width minus, we're just adjusting so that the graph is able to fit into the scale that we designed, into the container that we defined up in the SVG container that we declared up. Excuse me. Then here we are going to start here. This part is for creating the bars. So the bars we basically create bars for each gender, and then we create attributes for the x, y, then the width and x, y, width and height. We create these attributes based on the skills and the data that we have. And then we fill the color for the budgets, which will be which was determined up, because remember we declared the color up there, so that is what we use. So here we end up creating the x and y axis, and then where we say the x axis, the position where the label basically is put at the bottom of the chart, and then the y axis, which is here. We also have the y axis, which is basically x axis is at the bottom of the scale, like the bottom of the scale. Then the y axis is at the left side. We put the axis on the left hand side. Yeah. Then after we create labels for them so that they have, otherwise we can't just put the axes without labels. So basically here we just have to add the labels for the axis, whereby we where you center where you center the x axis label horizontally at the bottom, and then we shall position the y axis vertically on the left hand side. That is why you see this rotate minus 90 so that it's vertical. Yeah, so yeah, then we close the script and the rest of the tags. So when you run the code, I had already run it. This is how it ends up looking, whereby it gives the male a separate count from the female. So both male and female ended up having separate colors. Then next we shall go and look at, so here, yeah, that looks at 7. Sorry, I'm not going to go in the order of this list. I'll just go according to my. So next we have the geographical location. Geographical location, basically we wanted to see the locations of each of the employees. So here what we do, we have obviously the beginning parts of the code, like opening of the HTML web page. Then we also have the library for the maps, and then we have the D3 like we saw in the other previous code. Yeah, so we put we then we also get the height of the map, which is going to be 500 pixels. Yeah, then we go to the main code. So, so basically, this is just going to help us in creating the visualization of the map. Then we add OpenStreetMaps. We know what OpenStreetMaps are. They provide it. It helps us in visualization because in the other visualizations like Tableau, we also used OpenStreetMaps as the selection. It was using OpenStreetMaps. So here it will provide the link to OpenStreetMaps, and then we have to add that we have to add it as a base layer. It's more of like a base layer in here. Then we also load our JSON file. Here we are using persons. Our second, here we used a different data set called persons because persons, let me just open it. Persons has different locations. It has latitude and the longitude. And that's why I used this data set. While the previous data set did not have latitude and longitude. That's why I ended up. And then on top of this, now we start plotting our map after loading that data set. So for each person that is loaded, we have their latitude, their longitude, their name, their address. For example, the country, and the state of where the person is from. So when we load this data set, it ends up. This is how it ends up looking. For example, let me just show you this one person so we have Sophia Lopez, and this is Sophia's address, where is from California, USA. As we can see, the person is from San Francisco. So it's loading a bit slowly, but as it loads, you can see there are more people there. There are more people in the map. Their locations are different are there in the map. So that is it. That is what we had for the visualization of maps. Then next we shall go to the pie chart that we looked at. So in the pie chart, basically, just- in the pie chart, we actually looked at two pie charts. In pie chart, we have for gender and we have for department to see the different occupations, should I say, the different job titles that are within. So yeah, we start with our HTML code and all of that, having the D3 library. Yeah. But here we shall have two containers. We have SVG ID here is because we're going to have two containers. Like I said, we have two pie charts. So that will have one container will hold the gender and one container will have the department pie chart. So here we create here we end up creating the variables to have for the container. No, we create variables for width and height, and since it's a pie chart, we also have to look at the radius to see the size or how big that pie chart will be. So the constant radius is for basically both the pie chart, and then the inner radius is for if we choose to use a donut, like those donut pie charts. That is why we are defining the inner radius. That's what inner radius is about. So after that we end up having yeah, I have. So this um so basically, okay, this radius, the outer radius, will calculate the will get the height and the width, and then it will divide it by two. Yeah, I talked about inner radius already. So then the next thing we shall look at is the SVG, the constant gender SVG. So this one creates a container for the gender pie chart. And then this G element, then it will append G to it. And then this G is translated to the center of the container. That is where you get the transform translate. We're trying to translate it to the center of the container. So here we declare the color scheme to see the color we are going to use. Yeah, excuse me. Then this gender constant gender arc is used for the arcs. They are used for slicing the pie chart. So that it has the different slices of the pie chart. Then 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 here we try to get the labels for those slices. Yeah. Then also on top of getting the labels, we're trying to position them. So we basically do the same thing for the department, where we get the inner radius, the outer radius, that is us creating the arcs, the slices, then the labels for the arcs. Then we also have a color scheme that we follow for the arcs. Then we load the data. Yeah, then we load the data and we create the basically it's just the same thing, having the different arcs. So when we run that, this is what we end up getting. So we have one for males having 7 males, and one for females. For basically the one for the donut, where we declare the inner radius, it cuts out the inner radius. And that is why we have a full pie chart for gender. And then for the departments, it's not necessarily full. Okay, just for time, I'm going to rush through the rest of the stuff so that we get done faster. Next, I'll go and have, okay, I think we looked at this already for the gender budget, gender budget bar graph. We already looked at that. We looked at geography. We looked at pie chart. Now we look at scatter plots. So basically, we do the same thing. We declare HTML codes, have the D3 library, then we load the data sets, persons, and we create variables for like margin height and width, which we shall end up using later. Then we create a variable for the SVG container. So here we have the attribute for height and for width height, and then we get the G and we also transform the G. Then we declare the scales for the X and Y axes and what will be there. Then the domain, we get the domain of the X axis, which was we create a function which is edge, and then we set the minimum 20. So I will show you why I ended up doing this. I'll show you why I set it as 20. Okay, I set it as 20 because when you start from zero, you end up having a very big scale, and the lower part of the scale was basically empty. So just so that so that the plot looks better, I adjusted this to be 20. So this will be the circles. We're declaring the circles. The dot is basically the circles for the scatter plots. Each scatter plot having age versus income. And then we set its radius to 3.5. And then we have also attributes for that according to age and that. And then we set its color to steel blue. So this now will help us when it comes to plotting. Then we have axes. Yeah. So when you load it on the scatter plot, this is how it ends up looking. So now I changed this, like I started from zero, like I said, because if I hadn't, this 20 was going to start from around this other side. So these plots here would be very far, these ends on the right hand side instead of being evenly distributed. So basically this shows the different plots where we have a person who's about like 45 having an income of about 120. Yeah. So basically, most people are within the range of 24 and 40. So that shows like the distribution of people. So we could ask the higher the age, does that mean that does having more is like the more people you okay, which age brackets have higher income? Is it in your early 20s where people get higher income? Is it mid 20s? But according to this shows like early 40s. I mean, yeah, around 40s is like I think where income increases a bit. But basically in the 30s, it's average. Mediocre people have basically the same amount of income distribution. So that is what I got from this visualization right here. Then we go on to the next, which is going to be a tree map. We have the tree map here. So basically, I use a tree map to show the distribution, like hierarchy basically of these employees, who supervises who answers to who. So that is what I use this for. So yeah, I declared the HTML. I loaded the D3 library. Basically, that's it. Then I have the style. Like here, I put the style in the style instead of having it in the body. I declared everything here for the node circle, for the node text, for the links. Yeah, that was basically the CSS for it. So basically, I just load the data, which is called the employee hierarchy, which is, let me just open it a bit. This is the data. So when you see you have employee, someone with an employee ID, first name, age, but then they also have the manager here. So this shows who is managing them. So basically after that we set the layout for this tree map, this tree layout. We set it's like we set a layout for it basically. Then the hierarchical data structure here. So now we have the ID, and then we have the parent ID to show basically the relationships between the nodes, to show the relationship between the ID. So we basically, obviously here we used a function to show the relationship between maybe an employee. And this function here, we have two. We have one that uses the employee ID and the manager ID. So this stratify here basically is is one that is going to be used to create the hierarchical structure. So next we go to this tree layout. So this tree this here will create the nodes. This part here will create the nodes that we're going to use, and then we get the tree container. This tree container basically here is appended like this. This SVG is appended to this. So basically, this will just create the links. Like here we had the node. Now here we shall also create a variable. Here we create a node. We create nodes, and then here we create the links between the nodes. Basically, so the nodes are going to be the different employees, and then the links create the connection between those employees. Yeah. So now we shall have circles this year. It's going to be the circles we shall have to create the nodes, and there it's creating an attribute for it, which gives it a radius of 35. And then here we shall also create for the text because we need to see the names of the names of the employees. Without it, it will just bring the nodes and links, but you'll not know who's who. And that's what that last part there is for. So basically, this is it. Oh, so it didn't bring the first person, but then it shows Alice is supervised and then Emma is supervised. So basically, it shows who supervises Alice and who Alice supervises. It just shows you who Bob supervises, who supervises Bob. So you realize David is supervised by Bob. Bob is supervised by this person. It didn't bring this person's name. I'm going to fix that. But yeah, it didn't bring that. So I think we have looked at all of our, oh no, we didn't look at our bar chart. So basically this bar chart is the same as the gender one also. We have we input the HTML tags, we load the data, we set variables, we set arrays that will be used, and then we create a container for it also. We create the X and Y axes, and then we create domains for we set domains, then also we create the attributes that are going to be contained for the bar chart, and then we create the axes where it will be positioned, the where the label will be positioned and its color. So now that here we have here it ends up showing us the number of people who ended up have how many people have doctorates, how many people have bachelor's degrees, how many people are having master's degree. So it just shows us the frequency versus the education level. Yeah. So obviously we know most people have bachelors. So the higher the level, the less people there are. So basically these are the charts I managed to come up with and visualize. And yeah, thank you.